everyone, welcome back to the channel. So it's finally getting warm enough to plant some of our summer crops. Today I'm going to head up to the garden and plant some corn. So I got some sweet temptress corn from Haas Tools that I'm going to plant, and then also we're going to try some popcorn. Jacob really wanted to try some popcorn, and I don't know what variety it is because he got it at a fruit stand or a farm stand up the street. So we're going to give it a shot, and I think it'll be fun because we've never grown popping corn before. So over the next few weeks, we're going to be planting the rest of our warm season crops. And if this video seems a little broken up, that's just because there's usually going to be a few days in between each planting. If you have any questions on the varieties of what we are planting, be sure to drop a comment below, and I hope you really enjoy this video.
I also came through and put these arch trellises you see behind me that we made out of cattle panels. We got those all set in place in preparation for planting our beans this year. So this year we're doing something a little bit different with our beans, a little bit different of a variety in the way we're growing them. So I'm going to pass you over to Gabrielle, and she's going to talk a little bit about the variety that we chose and why we switched.
So last year we grew a lot of the green provider bush beans, and we grew some dragon tongue beans, which were really fun, and they're really pretty with the purple coloring on them. And we also grew some Cherokee Trail of Tears wax beans, and they're a bush variety. So this year we wanted to grow something that is a pole bean that will grow on the arch trellis for us. So we chose the Cherokee Trail of Tears pole beans. And they're supposed to be really good to eat fresh and to can and to dry out and save the seeds or the bean. So hopefully we'll have a great harvest this year. So now we're getting ready to plant our tomatoes. And last year we used the Florida weave trellising system, and it just did not work out very well for us with the indeterminate variety of tomatoes. So this year we're going to use cattle panels for our trellising. And we chose different variety of tomatoes this year too. We're gonna plant the Amish paste tomato and the San Marzano tomato. They're supposed to be really good for canning. They don't have as much of the pulp and seeds. So I'm looking forward to that, making some tomato sauce with them. And then pretty soon we will be
Trellising for those interested. So we have 36-foot rows, and we leave a little bit of open space down here at each end for herbs or for flowers for pollinators. The center T-post, so we use 5 on each row, and these center T-posts, we just butt the cattle panels right up against each other and then wrap them together with a T-post hanger. So we have one on each end and then one in the middle. This works out really well for us. We use it over here on our peas. We've been using it for about a year now, and like I said, it's worked out really well, so we're trying this again on the tomatoes. So we've got one row all done here, set up for our trellising. The next one is this row over here. We're going to set up trellising for that, and then we can go ahead and get our seeds in the ground.
go.
All right, so Gabrielle is busy getting the tomatoes in the ground, and I wanted to review a couple things with everybody while she's getting the seeds in the ground. So the two types that she mentioned before are Amish paste over here and San Marzano over here, both a canning tomato, both a paste tomato. Amish paste get about 5 feet tall, and San Marzano get about 6 to 7. They're both indeterminate, so what we did is we actually spaced our cattle panels about a foot up off the ground. That way the top of the panel row is about 6 feet. So she's going ahead and getting 2 seeds in each hole, and again we're using the cloches like we did on the broccoli. Now last year we made the mistake of going through and planting all of our tomatoes and then setting up the trellising afterwards, and it was a mistake because we didn't clearly mark where all the plants were planted, and not only were we in danger of damaging some of the plants, but the emitters were not right next to the plant. So this year what we have is an emitter right here. We laid out all the irrigation and our trellising, and each plant is right next to not 1, but 2 emitters. So we're bringing these irrigation lines in closer because we're just doing 1 row of tomatoes in each bed. Last year we did 2, and we found that it just wasn't enough airflow. We think that we're gonna have a lot better luck with our tomatoes this year. So she's gonna go ahead, get all these seeds in the ground, and then we'll see you in about a week when we do peppers and eggplant. Well, hey guys, we're up here today and we're starting to plant our peppers. So this is the row that we're going to be planting peppers in. And we don't have cattle panels yet because the ones that we had for this pepper row are actually on our pig shelter. So what I need to do is actually set all the T-posts. That way Gabrielle can come through and plant our pepper plants. Then we're going to be planting eggplant in the second half of this row over here. So while I'm driving T-posts, she's going to be fertilizing the soil for us. And it is extremely windy up here today, so I'm going to try and keep the talking to a minimum and just kind of show you guys what's going on, and then talk a little bit about why we're trellising our peppers differently and some other things that we're doing a little bit different for these warm weather crops. So typically when we're doing trellising like this for the peas over here, what I do is I come through and I pound the T-posts in, we hang the cattle panels and do all that fun stuff, and we adjust the T-post locations as we go down. But because I don't have the cattle panels, what I'm actually going to do is start here where I want my first T-post. And I'm going to run to the middle of the row, exactly 16 feet, and I'm going to drive that T-post into the ground. Then I'm going to measure from that T-post 15 foot 8 inches off the center of that T-post. And that will put us just shy of the end of that cattle panel. That way, when we come back later and we go to hang the cattle panel, our T-post will be somewhere right in the middle of this square, and we can get our hangers on just like you see here. So we're having to do things a little bit different, but that's okay. We're just adjusting our plan as we go. All right guys, so we've got our rows all prepped. We have all the T-posts in for the pepper trellising, and we have all the T-posts in for eggplant trellising. So I'm going to spin you around and show you what's going on. So as you can see right here, we have a nice even row. We got all 5 of our T-posts in. And then over here, we're doing eggplant. So we have a half a row of eggplant going in. We've never grown eggplant. This is going to be the first time for us. So we've set up the short 2-foot T-post in between each plant. So we're doing 6 plants over in this row. We're going to be doing a Florida weave trellising system on this, trying that out on the eggplant for the first time. We were pretty unsuccessful with it with the tomatoes, but I think since the eggplant doesn't go so big, it'll work out a little bit better for us. So Gabrielle's gone through, already marked all the locations right down through here for all the peppers. So we're gonna go ahead and get those seeds in the ground and then work on our eggplant. All right, so while Gabrielle's getting the seeds in the ground, as you can see, we're using the same cloches that we've been using for the broccoli and the tomatoes we have planted. Now, last year we planted the Cow Wonder bell pepper and we had some not great luck with those. We also didn't have great luck with those when we lived in the Northeast, so we're moving away from that variety of pepper. We also planted some Pretty and Sweet, and those were just kind of, I don't know, I guess you would call a fun pepper, yeah. So they were really small and very colorful. They were fun, but they kind of didn't do good and they didn't yield very big peppers. Obviously we knew that was going to happen, and we're looking for something more for canning and cooking. So instead of Cow Wonder, we're going ahead and planting the King Arthur bell pepper. So we're doing 7 of those. That's a hybrid pepper with an excellent disease package. Now what I'm going to do is in the lower left hand corner, I will list all the plant names and a little bit of information about these so you know exactly what plants we're talking about. After the King Arthur pepper, we're going to be planting the True Heart, which is it's not a bell pepper, it's a pimento pepper. So those get about 2 to 2.5 feet tall. So we're trying something a little bit different there again. We're planting 7 of those, and then we'll be planting 7 of the Charleston peppers, which is again another sweet bell pepper. We're doing about 18 to 24 inches apart on all these. In our case, we're doing 18. And the Charleston bell is an heirloom variety that is very nematode resistant, and they also get about 4 feet tall, so a little bit taller. So we're planting them on the west side of the garden. So 7 of each pepper, 3 of each. We're doing a different variety than we've done before, and like with everything, gardening is kind of playing around and experimenting. What works well for you works well for your environment, your climate, and your soil. You know, every garden's going to be a little bit different, so you kind of have to try different things every year and figure out what works best for you. So last year we struggled really hard with peppers, and this year we're switching everything up from the trellising to the varieties that we're planting. So one thing I do want to mention while she's putting these seeds in the ground is the King Arthur seeds actually had a 93% germination rate. So as you saw in the video, we are actually putting 2 seeds per hole. That way we ensure every single plant position has a plant growing. The True Heart actually had a 97% germination rate to those seeds. So again, we put 2 in each hole. So these Charleston bell peppers that we're planting right now have a 79% germination rate, which is pretty low. So we're putting 3 seeds per plant position. They also send us, or would send you, a few more seeds in that packet than they typically would because of the low germination rate. So if it's your first time planting, just one thing you want to keep in mind, that if you have low germination rate, go ahead and put yourself a couple more seeds. That way you ensure you're going to get a plant in every single position. So we've got all of our peppers in the ground today. We have all of our eggplant in the ground today. We'll catch up with you guys in a few days when we have to put some okra in the ground, and I think that's going to be it for now until a few weeks from now when we put the zucchini, the summer squash, our watermelon, cucumbers, and pumpkins in the ground. But a couple of weeks before that, so we'll see you guys in a few days, and let's get some of this delicious okra, which was the first time we grew it last year. We all really enjoyed it, so we're putting...
I got a new kind this year too.
What'd you get?
The bowling red okra.
Bowling red okra.
Yeah.
And it's actually red?
Yeah, the okra's red.
All right. Does it taste the same?
Well, we'll find out.
Okay. So we'll put a little bit more info in that in a few days when we get those seeds in the ground. All right, guys, so here we are a couple days later, and it is the end of the week, and it's going to be the end of our warm crop planting for now. So we have 2 rows of okra that we're putting in. First row that she's planting right now is Clemson Spineless, which we used last year and worked phenomenal for us. She's planting these at about 18 inches apart, which is perfect because we can get them right at the emitters, because the emitter on our drip irrigations are spaced at 9 inches. So Clemson Spineless gets about 4 to 5 feet tall. I can tell you from last year, that's not true, because last year we had it over my head and I'm 6 feet tall. So they get very big. So Bowling Red is what we're planting in the row behind Gabrielle over here. And that gets 7 to 8 feet. So this is something else that we're trying this year. So we got that bed all prepped, and we're going to be doing the same spacing on that. Did you pick all the strawberries?
No.
No? Did you get that row all prepped for Mom?
Yeah.
Yeah? What's going in that row?
Watermelon and pumpkins.
Oh, pumpkins again?
Yeah.
All right. Yep, Jacob is a pumpkin fan. They're also fans of watermelon around here, so we did pretty good with watermelon, I think, last year. I think we had more than we could eat. We ended up giving a couple away.
Yeah.
What kind did we plant watermelon last year?
The Sugar Baby is an icebox.
Sugar Baby. Okay. And what kind of pumpkins did we plant?
I think they call it jack-o'-lantern.
Oh, that's right too, because they had the jack-o'-lantern on the front of the packet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we're planting that again this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did good last year. We had one that kind of got eaten, but
I know it was the vine borer, though. That wasn't the variety's fault.
yeah, we had an issue with vine borers. We had a vine borer issue on not just the pumpkins, but the squash and zucchini as well. So
just put them right where the emitters.
Oh, yeah.
I mostly have just had better luck growing heirloom varieties, and I think a lot of that has to do with them, being grown over and over throughout the years and people saving seeds, and then it gets more resistant to diseases and pests of certain kinds and things, in that environment. That's another reason why I chose to buy seeds from this company's Southern Seed Exposure. So a lot of the seeds that they sell, majority of the seeds that they sell are heirloom, and they're ideal to grow in the South. Well, they're supposed to repel certain insects. I'm really excited that we got our first round of summer crops in the ground. In a few weeks, we'll be planting more, and if you're interested in seeing what varieties and what methods we use to plant, you make sure you hit that subscribe button. And until next time, I hope you have a great day. This is gonna be it. This is gonna be the best one yet. I'm really excited. Let me start over. Till next time.
what say you?
What?
So I hope you enjoy this video. If you have any questions about the varieties, please drop a comment down below.
Okay. All that just went out of my head as soon as I looked at the camera.